Hello and welcome. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most powerful and kind of invisible forces that shapes your entire digital life. We're talking about A/B testing. You ever have that weird moment, you're sitting with a friend, you both open the same app and, wait a minute, yours looks different? Maybe a button is in a new place or the colors are totally different. That's not a bug, my friend. It's a feature, and it's all part of the powerful technique we're going to break down today.
So what is A/B testing really? Well, at its heart, it's just a simple, controlled experiment. Companies will roll out two versions of their software. There's variant A, which is the control, the one most people see, and then there's variant B, the new idea they want to try out. They give these to different groups of real users out in the wild, and then they just watch. They track everything, clicks, how much time you spend on a page, you name it, to see which version actually performs better. It's how the big tech companies make decisions based on cold, hard data instead of just a gut feeling.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the basics, then walk through the three-phase playbook for how these tests actually get made. Then, and this is my favorite part, we're going to bust a huge myth about what's really being tested. After that, we'll meet the teams who run the whole show, and finally, we'll uncover the surprising hidden cost of all this innovation. You know, you'd think every company has its own secret sauce, but pretty much every A/B test, whether it's at Google, Netflix, or some tiny startup, follows the same standardized playbook. It's a really clear three-phase process that's all about getting results you can trust. So it all kicks off with the design phase. This is where a team comes up with a hypothesis. Something like, hey, I bet if we make this button green, more people will click it. Simple enough, right? Then comes execution. The test goes live. The software starts splitting users between the two versions and just quietly collects all that juicy data. And finally, you've got the evaluation phase. The number crunchers come in, run all their statistical tests, and declare a winner. Or sometimes they find out it made no difference at all. Okay, so when most of us hear A/B testing, our minds immediately go to small visual stuff, right? Button colors, fonts, that kind of thing. But is that really what this incredibly powerful tool is being used for? The data tells a totally different story. Yeah, the popular idea is that it's all about aesthetics. You know, changing the shade of blue on a link, moving a picture from the left to the right, tweaking a font. And look, those things do get tested, for sure, but they are nowhere near the whole story. But the reality? It's kind of shocking. A huge review of over 140 studies found that the number one thing companies are A/B testing isn't visuals, it's algorithms. Yeah, the super complex logic that powers your recommendation feeds and search results. Visuals come in at a distant second. So the big takeaway here is that companies are constantly tinkering with the brains of their software, not just its makeup. So if they're testing these massive, complex systems, who's actually doing the work? Let me tell you, it's not just one person hitting a big red launch button. It takes a whole team of specialists, each with a very distinct role, to pull these experiments off. During that first design phase, you've got three key players. First is the concept designer. Think of them as the dreamer, with the big idea and the hypothesis. Then you have the experiment architect. They're the scientist who figures out all the technical stuff, like how long the test needs to run and how many thousands of users they need to get a reliable result. And finally, there's the setup technician, who gets everything ready for launch. This even includes running little preliminary tests, like AVA tests, where both groups see the exact same thing just to make sure the testing system itself isn't broken. Okay, so once the test is live, two more critical roles jump in. You've got the experiment contributor. They're the monitor, watching the experiment like a hawk, ready to pull the plug if something goes horribly wrong. And then, after all the data is in, the experiment assessor becomes the analyst. They're the one who dives deep into the numbers, slices and dices the results, and translates all that data into a final, actionable decision. A/B testing is amazing because it turns decision-making into a science. But all this progress, it comes at a price, one that isn't always obvious. So let's look at the outcomes and a critical, often overlooked consequence of all this testing. As you can see from the data, the number one reason to run an A/B test, by a long shot, is for feature selection, basically deciding which version of a feature wins and gets to stay. The results are also used to manage slow feature rollouts to everybody, to figure out what to build next, and, of course, to design the next experiment. It's a never-ending cycle of data-driven improvement. So it's pretty clear, right? A/B testing is an incredibly powerful engine for making software better, faster, and way more in tune with what we, the users, actually want. But there's a catch. This quote right here gets to the absolute heart of the problem. See, to run a test, developers use something called feature toggles. They're basically little switches in the code that show different versions to different users. The problem is, after the experiment is over, those switches often just get left behind, and every single one adds a little bit of complexity, making the software clunkier and harder to maintain over time. This is what's known as technical debt, taking a shortcut now that you know you're going to have to pay for with interest later on. And this whole technical debt problem is exactly what the smartest people in the field are trying to solve right now. They're working on ways to automate the A/B testing process to help clean up all those old, forgotten experiments. They're creating better guidelines and trying to improve the methods themselves. These aren't just little academic projects, they're direct attacks on the hidden cost of all this constant innovation. Which leaves us with one final and really important question. A/B testing gives us this incredible superpower to innovate based on real, actual data. But every single experiment we run risks adding another layer of complexity, another piece of debt to our systems. So the ultimate challenge really is finding that perfect balance. How do we keep pushing forward and making things better without eventually getting buried under the weight of our own progress?